Hello everyone, welcome to my narrated watercolor tutorial. This demonstration will be about was one in a series of tutorials that I'm doing about palm trees, how to paint palm trees in watercolors or with watercolors. In this case, I'm going to be doing what's called a Washingtonian palm tree. Washingtonian palm trees are fairly similar in some ways to the cabbage palms in that they're fairly tall and the upper area, the foliage or where all the fronds are on the palm are pretty much within a circular pattern. But unlike the the cabbage palms, which are really within that confinement of the circle, the Washingtonian palms are more outwards from that circle, and also unlike the cabbage palms, where the center of the palm is fairly condensed, the Washingtonian palms, you can see daylight through the center portion. And so that's what I'm going to paint. Also, the Washingtonian palms, when they grow very tall, their trunk is very thin, and it's mostly void of any of the cuttings that you can see in the more tender or younger palms. So let's go ahead and start with the fun part of this demonstration, and that's the painting part. I'm going to be using primarily my number 10 brush, which is this brush. It's a round brush. I may use one of these two flat brushes, but it's mostly going to be the round brush. So I'm going to start with that. And I'm also going to start with some light greens. I'm going to use some Aureolin yellow. I'm going to be using a little bit of raw sienna. In fact, I'm going to need to put some more raw sienna in my palette. I was painting before, and I'm kind of run out of the raw sienna, so here's my raw sienna. All right, here we go. So now I have the raw sienna. I'm going to be using more of that, more Aureolin yellow, a little bit of cerulean blue, and get a sort of a light green going. A little bit more water in my brush. Same colors. Okay. Now, I'm going to start with this area. Start with some of the branches or the parts of the palm that hold the fronds. Like I say before, some of these palms have you can see daylight through the center portion. Not all the time, but you can see like that. Now, having done that, I'm going to do some of the fronds. Again, I'm not using too much water with my brush, and so I'm going to start going like this. Like that. Here was same thing over here. Like that. I will go over here. like that. Unlike the fronds and the cabbage palms, which come from the center and then they fold out like you taking a your hand, and the fronds come out like this and they fold like that. The Washingtonian palm, they come out like a fan and then they fall down. And some of those are fairly together, so I have to indicate some of that too, like that. Now, I tend to have a little bit more control over my brush when I hold the brush way back in the handle, like this. Now I'm going to gradually start increasing the value of those colors to make a much darker greens, and I'm going to also start going out a little bit more, like that. Palm trees, generally speaking, are always moving, even in light breeze. They're fairly flexible, so it's a good idea to paint them that way too. Like that. Okay, now I'm going to start going for the darker greens. I'm going to bring some ultramarine instead of the cerulean blue. Like that. Also, I'm going to bring some Payne's gray, make a much darker green. I'm also going to bring in some undersea green, which is a really beautiful color with the Payne's gray. And start making some of the painting the fronds that are in the shade, like this. Like that. Bring some of those over here, much darker, hanging them. Like that. And I'm going to increase the value of the darker green. And I'm going to bring in some sepia into that mixture also. Get a much darker green, especially over here. Like that there. And some come out from the center and they look kind of flat, but that's because of the perspective. And so some of them in the center are more dense, the fronds are together, like that. And that's kind of I'm going to do a couple of longer ones over here. There, some over here, like that, one over here, fold at the end, there. And lastly, I'm going to clean my brush really good, change the colors, and the upper portion of the trunk has a nice brownish color. This a little bit, I'm going to show it so that the color, the light is hitting the right side of the trunk, so this is going to be much lighter on this side. Like that. And I'm going to get some sepia all by itself, and the lower area a little darker over here, and this lower area is where the cuttings begin. Like that. It's kind of gray in that area. I'm going to bring some cobalt blue mixed there, and a little bit darker over here. Like that. A little bit more sepia on this side. Some dry fronds sticking out of there. And I'm going to give that a little bit of a base. And we got some greenery over here. And there it is. That's the Washingtonian palm tree. So now I'm going to remove this tape. I'm going to put this over a darker color board so you can have a little bit more of a better appreciation of how this looks. Removing the tape is always kind of a little tough. It's a very strong tape that I use. And it comes the black background. So here we go. There's the palm tree. I'm going to move this a little higher. And I'm going to minimize this a little bit. And there it is, the Washingtonian palm tree. Thank you very much for watching this demo. I hope you enjoyed my painting. And please visit my website at aafinearts.com. There you will see information about my virtual classes and a large selection of my paintings and prints. Until next time.